It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. Hello. What emergency? Hold on a sec. Hold on a second. You're saying that there's an idiot on the internet? That's not exactly an emergency, that's nothing new. Oh, it needs debunking. There's new people that debunk nowadays. You don't need me around anymore. What? You're saying it's 18 minutes of daftness? And you need me? The people of YouTube need me back? No, that can't be right. But, very well, I shall return to the fray. I shall come back into it. See you later. You try to get out, but man, they just drag you back in. Unless I return. Hit it! It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. I'm doing this temporarily until I get to new intro scene. It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. It's a fucking intro. Now on to the main show. Right then, hey folks, I'm back. And, let's put the book away. Yeah, I got the call, I guess. I guess there's still idiots on YouTube that need me to destroy them. And don't worry, Von Daniken is still in the firing line. I just needed a long break from the first 2 paragraphs of chapter 4. Yeah, I still have to go back to that. Anyway, carrying on. We have this fella here. He's a vegetarian. And I came across his interesting, scientifically accurate video. This is what drags me back, people. This is what drags me back. Shall we begin?
You know, before I became vegetarian, I used to like eating chicken, eating bacon. I used to eat red meat a little bit back in the day, but I was already kind of winging off the red meat. And it was very difficult at first to become vegetarian, to stop eating the stuff that we grew up eating, the stuff that we were programmed to eat. It was really difficult to give that stuff up.
Programmed to eat? Are you a computer? Are you secretly a cyborg? Are you the Terminator? Have you been programmed to destroy meat? Are you taking on the meat bags? Let's see how you go.
So while I was trying to, in engaging in the thought of giving it up, I started asking myself, why do I eat this stuff anyway? Why do I crave these foods? And I think
good questions all round. Good questions all round. Yeah, if you have questions, ask them and do some honest research. As we're going to see, you didn't exactly do that.
a lot of us don't really ask these concepts of why do we think certain ways, because we're brought up with the concept that everything is okay, like eating red meat is fine, watching a lot of TV is fine, doing a lot of these, being very promiscuous is fine. So we grow up hearing these things, so when we get older, we don't even question it. We feel that it's part of the norm.
I do have to ask what sort of childhood you had when you were told shagging around is alright, being promiscuous is okay, and watching a lot of TV is okay, because generally most parents shout at their kids for watching too much TV, and they worry about their kids being too promiscuous and try to stop it. Promiscuity is absolutely fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with promiscuity, as long as the child understands what's going on and what can happen. Yeah, being a little bit promiscuous is fine. Eating red meat, yeah, it's normal, it's okay, don't worry about it. We'll discuss that later on. And as for the TV, well, it depends. Do you want your kid to be a couch potato? I think watching some TV and getting an active kid is one and the same thing. And if you've seen my nephew, my 7-year-old nephew, he can't sit down to watch TV. He loves the TV, but he will not sit down. He'll be up and about in 2 seconds, running around the place. But yeah, too much TV, yes, it's bad for you. Too much red meat, yes, it's bad for you. Too much promiscuity, if you don't understand the consequences, yes, it's bad for you. But too much of anything is bad for you. Too much water is bad for you. Too much oxygen is bad for you. Shall we continue to see how wonderful this gets? Oh, it's a slow burner, folks. It's a slow burner.
It's normal to eat meat to us. It's normal to be very promiscuous to us. It's normal to spend countless hours on entertainment. But we need to start really deprogramming from the matrix. You can't on one hand say that there's a matrix that exists and then on the other hand, still consciously engage in certain aspects. And
Okay. Who had Matrix in the crackpot bingo? Come on, who had Matrix? I'll keep an eye out. I'll see who gets a full house.
eat this stuff. Why do I crave this stuff? And then I had to. Then the answer was, well, because I was brought up to eat this stuff. Because all my family and relatives ate this stuff. So why did they eat this stuff?
Now, this may be one of the few times I say this, but that's actually relative. You do tend to copy your surroundings and your parents when you're growing up, and your peers. So you're more likely to be, if you grow up in a meat-eating family, a meat eater. If your friends are meat eaters, it's more unlikely. It's generally how society works. It's the way things are. Now, obviously, there's exceptions to the rules, and sometimes kids tend to form their own opinions very early on. But yes, in the most part, if your family eat meat and your friends eat meat and you don't know any different until you start to think about it, then yes, you will tend to eat meat because of that reason. But that may be the only time I say something nice and reasonable about this guy. Let's carry on.
And why do we call chitlins, hog moths, and all that other bullshit? Why is that considered soul food and a part of our culture? So I started doing my research and I found out that the soul food that we eat. These aren't things that we brung over from the motherland, or even came up with here. The blacks and Native Americans that we hear. These aren't these foods that we call soul food. These are not foods that are part of our natural culture.
Now, this is where I begin to differ from him. Soul food, as he likes to call it, chitlins and all that other stuff that's associated with black culture in the United States. It is part of your national culture, because, let me break it to you, you're not African. You're American. Statesian even. That's what you are. You are not an African unless you actually came from Africa, or your mother and father have to come from Africa, and you can claim African descent that way. But you are not an African just because you happen to be black. It's that simple. Now, we'll get into why he thinks chitlins isn't part of black culture later on, we'll just let him carry on.
But and these things were given to us during slave time. So I think since we don't know what the foods are to our natural culture, we can do the one universal law, the one universal thing, and that is to not eat meat at all.
Okay, who had the naturalistic fallacy? No one? Don't worry, it's only a half one. But the one universal rule, to not eat meat at all. If it was a universal law / rule, then there'd be no meat eaters, no carnivores. But there are. And let's get on to the next bit.
I mean, I don't understand how we as black people, we think it's okay. We like to brag that we age better than anybody else. But we're dying of these diseases faster than everybody else. And it's like we can't make the connection that it's the foods that we eat. Why are we obese? It's because we're eating these fucking meats and shit. We're eating this fattening food. We're eating all these things that we shouldn't be. And then we question... Then we question, why are we dying from heart disease faster? Why are we getting diabetes faster? We're getting diabetes and all this other shit faster because we're eating the wrong shit.
Is that a thing in America? In the States particularly, amongst the black population? That you like to brag that you age better than anyone else? You age the same, dipshits. Anyway. He is once again treading on reasonable ground. The reason you're getting fat and there's more heart disease and diabetes is because of what you eat. That is correct. Meat can be a contributing factor, but I'll tell you what's a bigger factor in the Western world. Sugar. Fat. All these things combined. So all those potato chips you're eating, that's starch, and if you don't do any exercise, then that just builds up in your body as fat. It gets stored as fat reserves. Sugar, if you eat too much of it, your body will be unable to break it down, and that's why you become diabetic and are unable to produce insulin. Sugar also contributes to how fat you are because, once again, it's energy that you're not using if you're not exercising, and it gets stored in your body as, well, quite simply, fat. There are a lot of reasons as to why heart disease and diabetes is on the rise, but the main one, like I say, is what you eat and also lack of exercise. But hey, let's carry on and see why he thinks it.
And we ain't exercising right. And it's like we refuse to want to connect the dots on this because eating these foods, it's comforting. It's comforting to us. You know what I mean? It's like you have a long day at work or whatever. You come home, you want to cook your favorite food. You know what I mean? You want your woman to cook your favorite food. You know, chicken enchiladas. You know what I'm saying? Fried chicken.
Did I just hear someone call out that they had a straight line? Not quite yet, folks. There's not been enough for that. But on the bingo card, you can mark off sexist. Because apparently, when you've had a hard day at work, you just want to get home and make sure your woman cooks you food like she should. Because, you know, women belong in the kitchen. And where's my sandwich, damn it?
You know, it's part of our comfort, but we're not really asking are these things good for us. We know these things are bad for us. So when I decided to make the leap and stop eating the meats, I had to start thinking and really trying to really break down the ideology of why we eat this shit in the first place.
It's just such a pity that you fail so badly. Oh, so badly. Here comes the good stuff.
And then how biased are we as a species to eat these things when we have alternatives? So
how biased we are as a species to eat these things. You use that word, but I do not think you know what it means.
What I'm getting at is, what makes us better than the animals? Most of our DNA comes from mammals. I mean...
Oh. most of our DNA comes from mammals. Well, technically he's right. That could be because we are mammals, you know, just like we are animals. But hey, he's right and he's wrong at the same time, but hey, let's carry on.
That's most of our DNA. So in reality, it's kind of like we're eating a lot of our, you know what I'm saying, a lot of our brothers and sisters in a way. But we don't think of it like that. We think that we're more intelligent than the animal, so we think it's okay to eat them. But
Right, yes. A dog is completely my brother. A cow is completely my sister. Wait. Do I want to complete that and live? You know what? I think I'll just stop there. But yeah, we are not eating our brothers and sisters unless you happen to be a cannibal. In which case, cook your damn meat so you don't get prion disease, damn it. But anyway, no. We are not eating our brothers and sisters in any way. We might feel an emphatic connection to certain animals, like say dogs and cats, but that depends upon the culture you're in. And yes, there's evidence that those emphatic links come back to you depending on how well you treat that animal. But that's generally not an excuse not to eat meat. You know, oh, I may one day have an emphatic link to this animal. I better stop eating meat to all the animals that I don't have an emphatic link because brotherhood, comrades, yay.
if we're more intelligent than they are, and we have alternatives, why do we eat them if we're more intelligent than they are? And what makes us think that we're more intelligent than the animals?
Good, straw man, come on. I think it's about time. Did no one calling Full House yet? Okay. Yes, this is a straw man. Humans think they are more intelligent animals, so they think it's okay to eat animals. That is not exactly right, now is it? Some idiots might think that, but not everyone. We generally eat meat because we're omnivores and we can eat meat. We're not herbivores, we're not designed to just eat plants. We're designed for a mixed, balanced meal. Some meat, some veg and fruit and stuff. But yeah. Ah dear. Shall we carry on? Because although we are generally more intelligent than most animals, I wouldn't say all animals. I mean, dolphins are widely regarded as the second most intelligent species on the planet. I think crows could take them on in that. Corvids are very, very intelligent and have been shown to use tools and think around problems within seconds. Some spiders do the same, and of course other great apes have been shown to use tools. But that generally isn't why people eat meat. I'm more intelligent than this piece of tuna. I'm going to eat it. No.
Are we more intelligent because we have the ability to build structures? Or we have the ability to create weapons? Is this what makes us superior to the animals?
To a degree, yes. It certainly helps, the fact that we're able to build tools, but building structures, bees build structures. Would you say the average worker bee was intelligent? You probably wouldn't, from what we understand of hive mentality. Termites, they can build incredible structures, but that doesn't mean that they're that intelligent. The thing is, it's the ability to create tools and, again, like I say, problem solve. This is one of the reasons that we're one of the more intelligent species on the planet. Yeah, that's it really. But that, again, intelligence does not give us the right to eat our animals. We eat our animals because we're omnivores. We are predators, and we have got all the physiological signs of such. Canine teeth, incisors, eyes to the front. These are generally things, and in fact we're quite inferior in several ways to other animals. We're fairly weak. we've got easy weak points to kill, like one stab to the groin, or the neck is rather flimsy. There's just too much weakness for us to claim to be superior to animals in every single way.
I don't think so. I think they have an intelligence. It may not be an intelligence that's going to be the machine to service a group of people who own a company. No, but they have an intelligence. But we want to believe that we're more intelligent. And then I have to ask you this: what about What about aliens from different planets that exist?
What about them? We're getting to the good bit, folks. What about aliens that exist on different planets? Woo! Well, the answer there is, what about them? I mean, their physiology could make it that we are extremely poisonous to animals on our planet. It could be we're extremely poisonous until we're cooked to them. We are to our own selves. What about this exactly is your point?
They have way more technology than we do. Where we get a lot of our technology from.
Okay, you can call Full House now. He believes we get a lot of our technology from aliens in outer space. Oh, we have hit pay dirt, people. We have hit pay dirt.
What if they come down here and say we deserve to be enslaved and eaten because they're more intelligent than we are? See, that argument has no weight. The more intelligent argument, that we're more intelligent than these animals, so we have a right to eat them. Well, there's other civilizations that are more intelligent than us. So does that give them the right to eat us?
I think you'll find if someone came down and said, we've got more technology and we're more intelligent, we're going to eat you, we'd fight back as animals do. Animals are not defenceless. Cows are deadly. Chickens are deadly. But the main thing is no one is making this argument. No meat-eating people are making the argument. Well, I can't generalise. No one I know of that is a carnivore, well, technically an omnivore, but they're with carnivorous tendencies, is making the argument that because we're more intelligent, we're okay to eat the animals. That is not the core argument. In fact, there's not even an argument. It's basic science. We are predators. We eat prey. We happen to be omnivorous, but we're predators. Hence, eyes to the front, binocular vision, canine teeth for gripping onto bone, incisors for tearing through flesh. They're sharp teeth for a reason. Ah, dear. But now that we've dealt with your straw man, let's get on, shall we?
Oh, that's not good. It's not good enough for you. All right, let me think of another one.
Oh, goody! Another straw man. Can't wait.
Okay. You have a lot of you guys are pet owners, right? Dogs and cats. All right. You think it's okay to kill cows and pigs, but how do you feel about them slaughtering and eating dogs and cats? You find that kind of humane. I mean, kind of sick, kind of twisted. You know, you saw what they did to Michael Vick.
Of course, this completely ignores the fact that in several cultures, eating dogs and cats is normally fine. I mean, China is the most obvious example, except it rarely happens in China. But yeah, it's perfectly normal in some cultures to eat cats and dogs. I personally, I wouldn't eat cat and dog because they tend to be predators, and predator meat does not tend to be nice, shall we say, especially stringy cats and fucking dogs. There's a reason that predators generally aren't eaten by us, and that's because their meat really isn't a lot of there, and it tends to be stringy and quite tough. It's not the nicest of meats, but yeah, I tried dog and cat. It's no problem to me. And I had to search who this Michael Vick guy is to find out what's going on. Oh, and I'm ignoring the this slip about humane. I think you meant inhumane, and I'm going to ignore that one because you did kind of correct yourself. I had to search who Michael Vick was, and what's the point about that again? Exactly. The guy was found torturing animals. That's completely different from slaughterhouses and eating meat. That's completely different from the meat industry. The guy was pitting dogs against each other, I believe. Again, what's his relevance?
But a lot of those people are still meat eaters. So how can we give treatment over cats and dogs and over these other animals? Because we like the way that they act? We can't say animals don't have feelings. We know that's a lie.
And again, that's a straw man. We're not saying they don't. And generally the reason that we give importance to, say, dogs over cows is because dogs have a use. They can guard, they can chase down rats, they're good companions, they're loyal. There's all sorts of reasons why dogs are considered better, but not by default. And as for cats, cats are useful because, again, they chase rats. They're good ratters. They're evil little shits, and they make reasonably good companions to a degree, but they do chase down rats, and that's why they spread so far, because they were good for killing rats in the grain barns and the like. That's the main reason why cats were so popular.
So why do we eat these foods? We know these things are bad for us, but we eat them anyway.
If by these foods you mean highly sugary, starch-filled, fat-filled good treats like Twinkies and donuts and stuff like that, then yes, they are bad for us, but we eat them because they hit certain pleasure centres in our brain. Yeah, they do. When we eat them, they provide some ding 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 dopamine in your brain. That makes you think, ooh, these are good. However, let's carry on.
I think in order for us to really try to change things, we have to change ourselves. And we have to start really investigating old beliefs, old belief systems.
Wow, I didn't think I'd be agreeing with you so much. Yes, we do have to investigate old belief systems and challenge them. Well done. Just a pity you're doing it on false information.
And why do we do these things? A lot of us eat these meats because we were taught to eat these meats from the Europeans.
And right away, we go back into the crazy. Yeah, what he's just said there is that black people were taught to eat meat by European people. No words, people. Just no words.
That's why we eat this stuff. If we really got with the program, we would try to just realize that maybe we're not meant to eat meat. Maybe our DNA is not genetically is not a genetic match for these meats that we're eating. Maybe there's a reason that we're dying faster from these illnesses.
Okay, first up, as I've pointed out several times, we're omnivores. We have the ability to deal with plant food and meat. We have the equipment to deal with both. I mean, we've got chewing teeth in your incisors and your in your molars and your premolars, and to a degree your wisdom teeth, which we don't need anymore. And we've got the ability to deal with meat, as in the canines and the incisors. The reason in your eyes that we're dying more from these diseases, which we don't really know to be true, because quite simply the measuring systems that we have now are far better than they were 50 years ago, which are far better than they were 100 years ago, and medical records were kind of shite beforehand. So it's bullshit to say that we're dying quicker these days when we didn't have exactly any accurate way of tracking it as such. We're also curing a lot more these days, we do know that. through medical science. And the reason that people are getting ill from eating this crap is because they don't exercise or they eat too much. Or, in the case of crash diets, eat too little.
And then look at all the GMOs that they're putting in the food. I know this guy that I work with.
Come on, someone must have called house by now. GMO, that's surely it. I have to dig out my card, my dabber, and make sure I've got it. So, you think that genetically modified organisms are being put into food? No. Genetically modified organisms are the food. You can genetically modify genes. You can alter DNA recombinations to a degree in food. But the food, the end product, the food is the genetically modified organism. Not what they're doing with the food. Ugh. And they're perfectly safe.
And he brags about, me and him go back and forth about the foods that I eat, because, you know, he knows I'm a vegetarian. So we always going back and forth, because he says he eats like a whole bunch of meat and shit.
Did I miss something? Who is this person in the allegory that you're telling us? You didn't introduce him. Who is this guy? You just started saying, he and I argue. Who? Not that it's really relevant. I'm just like, who? Did I miss? What? Eh?
And then he said he's an apex predator. You know, the whole thing, lions eat meat. I'll be like, alright, if you're an apex predator, why is it you're 35 years old with diabetes?
Well, he could have been born with diabetes. It happens. Or he could have eaten just too much sugar and gained diabetes that way. That's why, I'm guessing. I'm guessing type 1 from the fact that you're saying he's 35. But yeah, not from meat.
What type of apex predator has diabetes? You must not be that much of a predator if you're walking around with them symptoms.
Because as we know, diabetes completely incapacitates you from hunting with tools. Yeah, diabetes would totally stop you. You do realise we can control diabetes, right? We can't cure it, but we can control the symptoms. You do realise that, right? And one person does not a species make. You also realise that, right?